Hi everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Shubhangi, your host, and this is the Stack Ahead. And I'm so glad to introduce Juliana Smith. She's our guest speaker for today. So, what do I say about Juliana? Like, she is multi-talented and very inspirational woman in STEM. I have had the pleasure of knowing her for the past 2 years, and she's a really inspirational person because obviously she's transitioned her career from one domain to another. She has won multiple awards, created forums not just like for herself but for multiple other women outside. She's the director of Northwest Women in STEM. She also writes newsletters. She has also written blogs. I mean, what can I say? She's like amazing, truly amazing. And I'm some of one of the person who looks up to her a lot. And I'm so glad, Juliana, that you are here with us today. So I'll hand it over to you if you want to add something more and like say something before we start.
Hi, thanks a lot, Shubangi, for having me here. It's a pleasure to collaborate with you one more time. And yes, it's likewise. I do admire your career as well. I can see how you are doing more speaking engagement. So it's really good to watch you growing and shining every day. So yes, it's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Thank you. So I will start with the first segment. So I think first is mostly about your introduction and career journey. So can you tell us a little bit about how you ended up, becoming or coming into this area of data visualization and any kind of defining moment in your life that led to you, I want to work in this area. This is like amazing.
Yes, so my background actually is in physical oceanography. So I started my career more on the data science side and ocean research. So it was a lot of data that we have to process. I started coding with Fortran 77. This is how old I am. And then I moved to MATLAB and I worked with MATLAB for about 4 years. And then I got really bored, right? I didn't want to spend the rest of my life sitting in front of a computer.
Yeah.
And I had a massive career change. So that was the first big change that I had. So I moved to the oil and gas industry. First, I started supervising directional drilling operations on land, and I hated. I really dislike it. But for me, I wanted to actually become a navigator, and I knew that starting the industry, it was going to be very important. Give me more chances to actually get to do what I wanted. And then 14 months down the line, I finally landed my dream job as a seismic and marine seismic navigator. And of course, I worked for many years. It's funny because when we talk about all data tech, we think it's just AI, the what is trendy to talk about. But when I worked as a navigator, it was data, all about data, but positioning data, different types of data. And we also had to monitor what the data was being acquired. So we had about 30 different screens with different information that we have to monitor while steering the ship. So it was really intense. I still don't know how I managed to do it, but I did, and I did it well. um, that's when I moved away from MATLAB. There was no MATLAB offshore. We had Excel and VBA, which people love breaking macros. And we didn't have fast internet. It was I could barely access the functions page, and I
Yeah.
managed to, out of nowhere. I was like, "Oh, you are the macros person, right? You're gonna be doing all the
Yeah.
macros." I was like, "Oh, how am I gonna explain to them that I haven't got a clue what I'm doing?" Anyway, I got the title. I started doing, and it was interesting because it was like, oh yeah, I moved from different languages, and you can see the coding. It, once you know kind of the thought process, it's not that difficult. Um, and then a few years down the line, I had a work related injury. So
Yeah.
I have ended up with nerve damage in both of my hands. So I lost dexterity, I lost a lot of strength, mobility, and I was deemed unfit to go back to work. So I had a career change. I had a son. So I
Yeah.
wanted to take a year after my son was born to spend with him, which was amazing. But it nearly drove me insane because you just want to have like interaction with adults, no babbling, no, it
Yeah.
was just it was weird, but it was amazing at the same time.
Yeah.
And then when I got to back to work, I was in a really difficult position because I was a navigator, oceanographer.
Yeah.
And I ended up living in Manchester. So I'm originally from Brazil, and in
Mm.
2016 I moved permanently to Manchester.
Yeah.
Mommy, out, out. Sorry, just do you want me to repeat this so it's easier
That's
for
fine. Yeah.
you? So I came from Brazil to Manchester, and I felt like I don't know what I'm going to do. There is no ocean nearby, and most of the roles for oceanographers, the nearest ones were Liverpool, but they all wanted master's degree. Okay, I'm going to look into have a master's degree, and I would pay international students fee. And I was like, I cannot justify paying these amounts of money for a master's degree to get an income that's it's just it was just for me outrageous. I decided I'm not going to do it. And then I was really lost trying to find a job. And back in the day, there was a group called Women Returners, and I think now they are called Career Returners.
Good.
And
Yeah.
I attended one of the workshops that they had here in collaboration with BNY Mellon, and that was the change. It changed so much in my life, and it was the first time that I saw women actually supporting other women,
Yeah.
and so encouraging you and wanted to see you go forward. And it was really different because at oil and gas there were not many women, and it was kind of a competitive environment. It was quite toxic,
Yeah.
and that was my first glance that we could work on the same side and support each other.
Yeah.
And then I landed my first job that was initially data related. So I was supposed to manage the contractors at Deloitte offices across the UK.
Okay.
COVID hit, right? It started on the 6th of
Yeah.
January. COVID
Cool.
hit. There was no workplace. Everybody was working from home. And I
Yeah.
ended up being reassigned to work with another manager that she did audits. So she did internal audits on preventive maintenance, permit to work. And I was the person who I worked with all of these in some point back in oil and gas. We had to do a lot of that ourselves.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of data. So it was all these audits, and people are still, the contractors are still paying loads of fines because they cannot get better. Why is it happening? So
Yeah.
that was when I realized that this is data and this is amazing. So I put forward strategy. I identified across all the offices and all the major issues. And I also created a new audit because we are having some issues on the permit to work and permit to access. And I ended up getting an award internal at Deloitte for that piece of work. And of course, it was at that time that I started learning Power Pivot. And I realized there was something called Power BI. And then I did a course with Power BI. So, like, I'm going to work with this. I love it. But I had to because my team at the time was working with Tableau.
Yeah.
Team was not based in the UK. And I was like, oh, I tried Tableau. I did try, and I just couldn't get my head around. I wanted to work with Power BI. So I quit my job. I went to the job and I was like, it is a mainly Excel job, but there was room to
Yeah.
migrate to Power BI. And that's what I did. There was no requirement. And I just did because I did the course. I was like, I'm going to do it straight away, what I've learned. And then I showed the capability, and I said, like, right, we are ready for digital transformation. And then after that, I got my first Power BI only or Power BI main job as a reporting analyst. And from that one was just history.
Yeah.
Like everybody, I struggled. I did courses. I spent hours Googling stuff. But I think the fact that I worked with data in the past. I did a lot of statistics. Things
Yeah.
were kind of it made more sense doing things in certain ways, like understanding data, right? As a navigator, it was crazy because we would measure distances in milliseconds, and I could see movement just to look into the range of data collected. So
Yeah.
how do you do things? And it's very hard to explain. But when you look and try to figure out, okay, these are the issues you may have, and you're trying to anticipate everything that may happen before you even open Power BI. So
Yeah.
it was kind of it made sense in a way as well because I spent many years working offshore. We would live with our clients, right? And it was really difficult clients to work with most of the times. So the stakeholder management and the communication skills really help me. Still help me. I mean, I still have moments that I want to, I don't know, bang my head on the wall.
Yeah.
But I think all of my background that was completely unrelated to Power BI. I mean, when I was at university, there was no Power BI.
Yeah.
Um, I thought I was going to work for the rest of my life with MATLAB. No, there was that you can see, you don't see much MATLAB around. Um, but yes, and then it was when I was working with creating initially dashboards in Excel
Yeah.
that I had my first encounter with accessibility issues. And that has shaped to, shape my career to where I am at the moment. It was a bad experience and I felt so bad about it. And I decided, right, I'm going to do data and I'm going to do it right. I'm also going to make it accessible.
Yeah, no, that's really good to hear. Yeah, I have come across several people like they think like some people think they need certain skills to be working with data, but I think like it's something a lot of people can work with. Like it has something to offer to everybody. I don't think like I mean you it's definitely leverage if you have some background skills, for example, statistics or maths or programming, for example. Like I come from an engineering background. So for
Yeah.
me, like my base was like computer science engineering. So I did study maths and well in India you study a lot of stuff, so like there's a lot of things, but like it did help me. But I also believe in the fact that people can always gain those skills as well, like depending on what kind of role
Yeah.
they enter in.
And I think it's easier to learn coding than learning what they call soft skills, right? You've
Yeah.
seen amazing coders, people who can code with their eyes closed. And it doesn't mean necessarily they're going to create good data visualization. It doesn't mean necessarily they're going to convey the insights that are understandable by different type of audiences. So we have to keep in mind that great coding is it's really important. I mean, AI is there that may help you, but it doesn't take away the need to understand coding. But I think other skills are they're going to become more essential and it's going to make us stand apart from AI, right? Because AI, at the end of the day, is a lot of programming. You're going to have all these, everything that can come out of data, but there are certain skills that is human skills. And that will help you stand out and say, right, I still can do something that AI cannot do at the moment. So,
Okay. Yeah. So I think on that note, I'll ask another question. So how do you balance creativity with accuracy in your data visualizations? Like how do you find that right balance?
the balance between what, sorry?
The creativity and the
Yeah.
accuracy of your data visualizations.
So I think there are different steps that I go through. So after you get to understand the requirements, right? You understand the requirements, and I always try to understand a little, get a bit of domain knowledge. So I once had to create a report on pipeline operations, and I thought there is no way I'm going to be able to give something that is useful if I don't understand the operation. And once you understand the operation, you can also okay how we and how they are collecting data, what
Yeah.
kind of errors we can have, and how we can flag those errors to ensure that they are rectified and we had accurate data. So there is that side. And in terms of before I even open Power BI, I'm already thinking, right?
Yeah.
Okay, do I have branding colors? Do I have a logo? All those design elements that before I even open Power BI, I want to know if they're available. For the past 2 years, testing accessibility has been something that I also do before I open Power BI. So there are tools online that I use to check contrast ratio. And okay, I'm going to select some colors. And if there is need to adapt, change a little bit from the branding colors, I also do that. Usually I don't face any, nobody has said no. um, but I do that before Power BI. And of course, I have very well like established process to do what I do, starting from, okay, let's load the data and what do I need to transform the data to make sure the data is in a
Yeah.
format that I can easily use to create calculations or visualizations. And I do not move to the next stage until I'm happy with that data, all the quality control. What can I do in Power Query so I don't have to create calculated columns, for example? So I try to do all that process. And from that, all right, I have now the data. what do I need to do in terms of data modeling? And then you create a data model, and I try to use star. Sometimes it's not possible. I
Yeah.
think most of the cases you have to go to Snowflake scheme, but
Yeah.
we do what we can. Um, but I think that's really important, because most of the issues I've seen on DAX, it was actually the model that was not right. And it's so funny, because people, no, it's the DAX, it is the DAX, and they're
Yeah.
sure that there is something wrong. It's like, your DAX is not. It's just, look at your data model. Sometimes there is always like a
Yeah.
relationship. There's two directions. It's just, there is always something that it's not right. Um, and of course, before I build an individual, I test my measures. So whatever measure I create, I test
Yeah.
them. And I only start building anything, thinking about, all right, what I'm going to use. Is it going to be left hand navigation, top, after I'm happy? But you kind of already have an idea, because they say, oh, I want to have 10 slices. You kind of know, right? If you want 10 slices, I'm sure the person's not going to use 10 slices, but okay, let's put on the left hand side, it's got more space. So
Yeah.
you kind of have that idea. I try to do like a sketch, like pen and paper, just before I get to open Power BI. But I've noticed that sometimes I'm a bit chaotic. I just, my mind is all over the place. I do something, and I'm like, no, I have a better idea. So, but I only do that when I have time, right?
Yeah.
So what I often do, I deliver a working product, and then, all right, I can do some tricks now in parallel, depending on if I'm full time on a client, on a project. But I think I prioritize data quality, right?
Yeah.
The
Hmm.
the look. Sometimes you cannot do much about, all right, it's just going to be, I don't know, a line chart. There is nothing fancy. But simplicity is key, right? I see
Yeah.
so many tutorials with amazing. It was like, oh, that looks awesome. But yeah, how practical it is to implement those visualizations, that people actually would, right? I
Yeah.
remember I first used the term standard deviation to a client. He looked at me and said, what is a standard deviation? And then that's when I realized, okay, you know, uh, you have to be very careful. Uh,
Yeah.
we are not designing for ourselves, we are designing for others. And
Yeah.
the technical skills, the understanding, we have to design in a way that is for everybody, right? So
Yeah.
it's not only about accessibility, it's also about knowledge. Is it a technical person, someone who just joined? It's, I don't know, someone, a graduate who's never seen Power BI in their lives. And you have to make sure that they were not going to feel intimidated by the
Yeah.
report. Want to be, people look at it, okay, it looks cool, what is it happening here? Um so that's what I think it is. We can't, at the same time, you can have a very pretty dashboard and be absolutely meaningless, because the data is wrong, you're not showing what your users need. So before having a pretty report, we have to make sure we know what we are reporting on.
Yeah. I agree 100%. On that, the next question, I know you have been like a judge of various data competitions. So, what are the common three things that people go like they make mistakes with when they make dashboards? What do you think are the most
Yeah.
common three you have seen?
So the most common is adding too many visuals in one page. So you're saying, like, they try to add as many visuals as possible. Don't leave any white space around, any no gap at all. And that's really confusing, right? Because usually they don't use a hierarchy. You have to think, well, what is the main insights that I want for this page, and how I'm going to break down that and build my hierarchy. So people don't think like that. They just want to add as many visuals as they can. So uh cluttered layouts, for me, that's the most common and the easiest to fix, because you just don't need to have 20 visuals in a page. Not because you can, you may well be able to have, it doesn't mean that you have to. So just consider, try to keep like 5 to 7 visuals, and that is good enough. The second worst one for me is color contrast. There is a lot of people, especially with dark background, it's very difficult to get good contrast, right? So you see really dark background with really dark text, or the colors used on the visualization, they're also quite dark. And
Yeah.
for me, it's just a no-no. For me, just make it simple. light background, use dark colors.
Others, yeah.
Dark background, use light colors. So make it, don't try to make it look sleek, because most of the time it's going to go wrong. um, and the other thing that I see a lot, that I using the wrong visual to report on something. So you have
Yeah.
categorical data, and you see line charts for that. And why is it got a line chart? Most of the times you're not going to use a line chart for that,
Yeah.
or pie charts for whatever, right? Sure, they must have a better way to show what you want to show on a pie chart. So I think people need to think through, what is the insight I want to convey? What is
Hmm.
the best way of doing that in a way that is as simple as possible? So these are the three main things for me. That and that's okay, right? It's absolutely fine when you're starting. Oh, have you always designed a clean? No, we all have a learning path. We just have to
Yeah.
that looking around, and there is nothing wrong in creating something that's not perfect, because
Yeah.
it's actually quite honorable if you create something and you are a beginner and you actually post it and you share it. So I have a mentee. I selected her because I opened like, who wanted to be mentored by me, and I selected her because she participated in one data visualization challenge, and she was so brave. I was like, oh, she was, oh, it was hard, but it doesn't matter, right? We all start, and the fact that you put yourself out there and you actually want to learn, and you can see your progress. So she's been amazing, and I told her, you're amazing, but the reason, I think, you have to find a way to select someone. And I told her, you put yourself out there, and that for me is, it's really difficult, and I really really admire you for
Yeah.
doing
Yeah, I've seen people putting slicers, the filters on the bottom side, like bottom left corner or right corner. It's like, no,
that. I've
why
seen on
would
the
you do?
bottom. I've seen on the bottom, and I
Yeah.
actually made. I was like, where are the filters here? I can't see it. And then someone pointed out it was at the bottom. I was like, why would you do that, right? But that's fine. I think we shouldn't take feedback personally. It's not because you are
Yeah.
bad professional. It's because you're learning. And whenever someone tells me they're doing something that it's not great, I try to. It's been a difficult journey to take feedback on, but I
Yeah.
always try to say, all right, it's something that I can do better. So that's, if you get some feedback that if you're not doing something, you haven't done something great, I would
Yeah.
say don't take it personally, because otherwise you're never going to get better. Just, okay, yeah, I chose the wrong colors. I'm going to try to, what can I do to just choose the right colors next time? So if
Yeah.
someone tells you that, that's why you have to come back. Or, good thought, but how do you think I can do it? Ask the question as well.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, absolutely. It's, you know, put yourself out there, but also learn. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Constant learning is definitely the key.
Oh yeah, I think if one day you think you don't need to learn anything, you're done, right?
Yeah. I cannot emphasize on that. Like, I think if you always say, if somebody says, like, oh, I know everything, then I would say, what am I striving for, right? Like, if I know everything, and I don't think, like, nobody can, like, it's constant journey.
And sometimes when I feel like, oh, I'm bored, what can I learn? Something I want to learn something new today, just because I kind of crave get doing something. What is a book that I can read? And I read about random stuff. Oh, do you only read about data? No, I read about random, completely outside technology and data, and that's, it kind of gives you ideas as well when you work. So it does help you. Uh, Coming up with new ideas and
Yeah,
ways of working.
definitely. Yeah. I think the next question on that line is, which tools or technologies do you enjoy working with the most right now?
So I really like working with Canva at the moment. So I really like it. So I do a lot of work on Canva, not for data visualizations. I work on Canva when I create thumbnails for my YouTube channel, when I kind of create something for Northwest Women's Time. So I start helping this month with the newsletter. So
Yeah.
I do like the creativity side. I think it takes a lot of weight of bad data, right? So when you have a really bad day, nothing worked. The data is in a state that you don't even know where to start. And I felt like it's very, very distressful for me to open Canva.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do? Let me experiment with some different colors. So I was sick last week in bed. Oh, let me just try new colors. And I love it. So I really like working with that because I think the creativity side is something that we should always exercise. You always
Yeah.
practice. I always thought I was horrible. I'm not creative at all. I'm never going to be good at. And it's no, it's not true. We just have to give ourselves the chance uh, to practice. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm really enjoying at the moment. And I even consider how I want to be a UI designer, graphic designer. I don't want to do Power BI anymore, but we never know. But I
Yeah.
did user interface design certification. I really like it. On that note, it made me hate Figma.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of in between, but yeah, I understand the sentiment.
There is something that I dislike more than Figma at the moment, which is WordPress. So I have my blog, and my website is in
Yeah.
WordPress. And every time I have to change something, I don't know if I cry, if I want to hire someone to. So, but depending on the thing, I actually get someone to help me. I
Yeah.
pay to get it done because I was like, if I break this, it's gonna be much worse. But yes, WordPress has brought me tears to my eyes. It's uh, a bit fidgety. That's what I would define WordPress.
Yeah. I understand. Yeah, I understand the sentiment behind it though.
That's the main
Yeah.
thing. Because you may have the same thing for other tools, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like Figma. I remember I spent more than 60 hours because I had to create 9 prototypes. And every time that I thought it was ready, okay, let me go through again. And somehow the grid was not aligned anymore because if you zoom in or zoom out, it looks like that it's aligned. It's actually not. And every time I went back, I found an issue. I'm just like, it's just like never. You're just gonna dig a hole. You're never gonna finish. It's just you're gonna be a forever thing. So that's why I kind of. But to be fair, I didn't do the Figma module. Right, I went straight
Yeah.
to using it, and that was a big, big mistake.
Yeah. Interesting, very interesting. Yeah, I've heard diverse opinions about like both tools, but I know that Canva is generally very liked by like it's kind of liked by most people I know. Like I've heard very good like things about it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a really nice tool to have,
Yeah.
especially if you have the pro option. It's nice. It's good to work. It's considerably simpler, and you can do quite a lot of things using Canvas. I really like it.
Yeah. Great. I think the next question would be on the lines of future trends. So how do you think AI and automation will shape the future of dashboards and anything around like, for example, visualizations,
Yeah,
UI designing? How do you think that will evolve?
I think I think it's a bit early to say something about it. I think
Yeah.
we are in very early stage, mainly at the moment. So you don't see many companies adopting AI. So
Yeah.
what's clients that we're not even allowed to use Copilot because there is a degree of uncertainty about how about data.
Yeah.
So the second big issue that I see is people ask me you're going to be replaced by AI. I think well I speak to stakeholders and I know how they don't know what they want. Now imagine these people trying to tell AI what they want, right? It's not going to work,
Yeah.
right? And the data is not perfect. Data is never good. So I think we are still behind. We still. That's why I think right. If you have the right human skills,
Yeah.
I is going to be your ally, and that's what I try to use AI to make things more efficient. Instead of spending hours,
Yeah.
can't make these docs work. I use Copilot.
Yeah.
We have a pinch of salt because we need to test what Copilot is generating because sometimes it gives you a number, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's the right number. So whenever people say, can I use Copilot? Well, just make sure you test whatever it's telling you because it's not because it works that is what you actually need. So yes, I think if we go that if we become more human,
Yeah.
it will make us stand out against AI. So I think there is a wide way to go. AI would have a great use in terms of accessibility. So,
Yeah.
for example, WordPress, I wanted to change my background.
Yeah.
And because I have a dark background, I was like, no, I want a light background. So I changed to a light background, but my font was light, and it flagged straight away there is a low contrast ratio. This is AI helping me to build a more accessible interface. So I think in terms of design, AI
Yeah.
would be really good if we could use to help you. We can all, I wouldn't say fully rely on it, but it'll be a really good way to flag where we can make things better.
Yeah. Do you also think that like the area, like especially for data visualization, will have any sort of evolution in the next like 2, 3 years or 5 years, like leaving the AI side like completely on the hold? Like, do you think it will evolve further? Because, for example, we had like, for example, we used to make charts on Excel spreadsheets, and then obviously dashboards came, and then Power BI, for example, as a tool has evolved, or Tableau has evolved, and then people use Click also, some people use Looker. So do you think like this whole cycle, of data representation in terms of creating diagrams and visuals will also evolve, even if AI is not into the picture? And how will it look like?
I think it is already evolving, right? Just
Yeah.
like, as I mentioned, Canva, you can create some certain data visualizations.
Hmm.
And if you want to build more like infographics, it's a really
Yeah.
good tool. I don't know which way it's going. I really don't know
Yeah.
because things move. You wake up one day. It's just like there was one point I was really overwhelmed, right, with
Yeah.
Power BI because I would open LinkedIn, the amount of updates and that was especially when they launched Fabric and Copilot. I was just like, I can't cope. So I shut down for a while, for a long time, because I was like, I cannot cope. I'm really overwhelmed. I don't want to know. Right. So I think it's really difficult to tell you which way is going to go. I think
Yeah.
in 2 years' time, we may be in a completely different space. Power BI may have evolved to something completely different. So I
Yeah.
think we may still have Power BI around, but it just may evolve the same way there was Power BI, and then we have Fabric, and then how we can integrate everything. Uh, so I think it will definitely change. I don't know if it's going to be adopted straight away. That's the
Hmm.
only thing. And there are some industries that they are later adopters anyway, so they will not. I think they kind of wait uh, other organizations to start using it. All right, okay, it's safe to go. But I think maybe if you think about 2 years, maybe that's when most of the companies, okay, we can actually use AI, right, responsibly. Um, and something as well that will play a lot is going to be the ethical side of AI, right? How we can make sure that whatever we create for data visualizations or not, how can we make sure that it's ethical and it is responsible? We don't have any bias. There is no issue there. And I think I would say that for AI, you have to think before about that than actually what we can do with AI. It's
Yeah.
just make sure that we do it in the right way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting take. Because I also feel like it's already in its evolution journey. Like it's not like it's stopping. But I've heard conversations. For example, people want to implement natural language query on like Power BI dashboards. But then, like obviously, because of certain technical restrictions, it's not completely feasible. I'm sure you would have had that too. And like,
I wanted to use it, and
yeah,
when you start looking what you have to do, it's like I'm never gonna get approval for that.
yeah,
It's just I wanted to install DAX Studio, and it took months to get approval to install it on my computer. And when I finally got installed, I didn't have time to use it.
yeah,
So if you just think about the IT policies in the organizations, it's so difficult to get
yeah.
things approved. And then I remember once I wanted to install Python. And
Hmm.
I asked IT, it was my client, and they said, "Oh, you're gonna have to write a business case showing how you can only do your job by having Python installed in your computer." I was just like, "Well, I'll be lying."
Yeah,
So I think we have to think about all those restrictions, right? AI, you can use it to make amazing things, and I love it when people start posts. Oh, this is how you integrate your. I'm just like, great, right?
yeah,
When I'm actually going to be using it, it's just like Fabric, right? Oh, have you? Fabric is amazing. I never worked with a client that actually had Microsoft Fabric installed. Oh, what's your experience with Fabric? I've done
Yeah.
training, Microsoft Learning. That's what I can do because, oh, can you do the certification? I'd love to, but why am I going to do the certification? Right? You have to practice. I don't even have a license to practice. So I think it's still quite a journey, especially for companies that are not very much like techie companies, to see it changing what your daily work. Some people cannot even use a Copilot in their work computers.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to talk about Chat GPT. I cannot even. It's just completely blocked.
Yeah.
Um, but even Copilot is restricted.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think it's still a long way to go to so we can fully make use of that kind of technology.
Yeah, I think I have two more questions. So I think the first question is how your journey of, like, for example, building a personal brand has impacted, like, you having a career, let's say, in data analytics, and building a
Yeah.
specialization in, obviously, visualization plus UI designing.
So it's quite funny because I've always been really, really scared of speaking in public, right?
Yeah.
So that has been with me for most of my life. And I had a downtime at work once, and I knew that there was a lot of demand for Power BI training. So I delivered a session and I hated. I watched the recording for 10 seconds. I was like, oh, that's horrific. Delete this. It has never happened, right? And I posted that on the experience on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And that's how I got mentorship from Leon Gordon. And he said, I want to help you. Initially, it
Yeah.
was just to, because, there are a lot of things that you end up not doing because you're scared of speaking in public. And
Yeah.
we had a year journey, and the idea was, I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to feel sick anymore
Yeah.
in public here. I'm going to, you know, learn how to use my voice, talk about whatever I think and I want to talk about. And it's a lot that you have to learn, you
Yeah.
know, like, okay, there is always someone who's going to know more than me.
Yeah.
And that person may want to give me a bad time. So that was the first lesson that I had to learn. Like Leon Gordon told me, oh, remember, you're always going to have someone who may disagree with you, who may make bad comments. Just learn how you're going to cope with that kind of interaction. And I just wanted to practice. I'm going to keep practicing talking because that's what you have to do, right? You don't have to wait to be perfect. And things kind of got out of control. Like I never thought I was going to create a YouTube channel, right? Like no, I never was like, how am I a YouTuber? And when I tell, and actually it's quite funny because when I'm speaking to kids at school and I say that I have a YouTube channel, they look on their face, oh, you're a YouTuber, yeah. How many people? No, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how many subscribers. But I think that has had a massive impact in my career because so I got my role now. I joined recently. It was back in June, and it's a company that I first worked as a reporting analyst, and I'm back as a reporting lead. And
Yeah.
I know that because people saw me. Oh, you can speak to an audience of 100 people, right? Let's put it like that. You're going to be able to speak to a client. You're going to be able to, you are delivering technical content. So how you deliver technical content, you're going to be able to mentor other team members. So
Yeah.
there is a lot and skills because the same thing when I talk about Northwest Mini STEM. So it's not only my work with data, my work with STEM as well. Like, oh yes, I have skills now that I have to get this strategy, plan hiring, and everything that I actually became a leader
Yeah.
outside my pay job before that I got my pay job.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people who want to build their brand. It's like it's beyond your pay job, right? You're going to become an industry leader, and then your company will want you desperately, or other companies will. So we don't need to wait to be promoted,
Yeah.
be a leader. And I think that's really important. That's why for that, it's like, what are you passionate about, right? What are your passions? What is something that motivates? It doesn't matter. It may not be STEM and being a STEM ambassador. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. You may like cleaning, litter picking. what
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be your job. We are not our jobs, and once we understand that, you can become a leader. You can become way more than you actually think you will ever be able to, because we are very, it's very easy to think I'm a job.
Yeah.
I'm a Power BI developer, and it doesn't need to be like that. I start
Yeah.
talking more about accessibility regardless of my employer, right? Even if I don't do anything of that to my client work or whatever, as much as I try to, I still can lead on that. I still can learn. I can still share with people what they can do to make more accessible reports. So I think that was a process for me, and I always started because I wanted to get better at speaking in
Yeah.
public. But it was such a journey. So that's why I think mentoring is really, really important.
Yeah.
And why I do have mentees. I give my time because I want the same way they help me, right? I want to
Yeah.
help other people to have the same kind of fulfillment, like feel like, oh, I've achieved something, and and I feel amazing about myself. That's what matters.
Yeah, that's very inspiring. I can say that, like, I absolutely love the answer. You must have seen like a small heart. I also gave a reaction on this call, so it was very nice. Um, I think the next question on the same line is one advice you will give to somebody who is starting out, let's say in this career, like one single piece of advice that would like help them sail through.
I think it would be focus on human skills and capabilities of, thinking outside the box, creativity, and communication. Communication is key. And
Yeah,
it's something that you're not going to learn from a course. You may learn the theory, right? But you're not going to
yeah,
be practicing. And that is so important, because if you think about coding nowadays, we spend much less time creating that difficult code because AI can help us that,
yeah,
but interacting with human beings, AI is not going to help you to do
yeah,
that. So focus on that interpersonal skills that will make you stand apart from AI, and don't think about, oh, AI is going to take away my job. Just think AI is going to help me to be more efficient and
yeah,
better at what I do, and because I'm going to have more time to have more human interactions.
yeah. That's very, 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 very like good piece of advice, I would say. Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you seven rapid fire questions. This was
Yeah.
like the surprise towards the end to like keep the fun alive. They're all gonna be on data and data
Okay.
visualization, and you have to just give a single worded answer, okay?
One word.
Yeah, because yeah, they're designed that way. So,
Okay.
um, first question is dark mode or light mode dashboards?
Light.
Pie chart, love it or hate it?
Hate it.
Most underrated chart type?
I'll say a bar chart.
Excel or SQL?
SQL, SQL.
Color palettes, bold and bright or minimal?
Uh, Bright.
Okay. If you could ban one chart forever, which one it would be?
Pie chart.
Pie chart. Pie chart is gonna have a hard time.
Yeah.
What's your favorite data set you have ever created a dashboard on?
So I could recently create a dashboard on weather. So I created like there was an API thing. So it was a weather with weather dashboard with real data.
Yeah.
Sorry, more than one word.
um, Tableau, Power BI, or Click?
Well, Power BI.
Data. Do you think it's more like music or more like math for you?
Music.
Okay, great. And then this last question, you can say three words. So three
Okay.
words that describe a great data visualization.
Okay. It would be whew, that's, I would say be human,
Yeah.
right? First, be human. Um, oh, that's a very difficult. um, Accessible.
Yeah.
So accessibility and think outside the box.
Yeah, that's very nice. So, with this, we come at the end of this podcast episode, and I'm so glad to have Juliana today. Thank you, Juliana, for taking your time. Obviously, it's Monday, so yeah, I really appreciate that.